my last video, I talked about a very common question that people ask when they are coming to inquire about the sugar-free recovery program. And in this video, I want to talk about the second most common question that happens. And that is the question that people ask me: does this mean I'll have to give up sugar and flour and ultra-processed foods forever? Welcome. If this is your first time, my name is Sippy and I'm a certified food addiction counselor. And with my 25 years of experience helping people to recover from sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, my answer to you is this. The only one who can answer that question is you. But there's a huge but after that answer. The but is, when you make that decision, make sure that it is coming from a place that you understand what food addiction is, really from a very deep level, also from a mental and emotional point of view, but also from a scientific point of view, so that you can understand how the brain works. Make sure that you are making that decision as an informed decision when you understand what added sugar and ultra-processed foods and processed carbs, what they do to your body, to your brain, to your metabolism, to your hunger and satiety system. Make that decision after you are informed and well aware of what foods and food behaviors trigger a loss of control in you, and know how to act around those triggers accordingly. Make that decision when you really have been 90 days without your addictive foods like sugar and flour and ultra-processed foods, so you can really understand the benefits of going off these foods, of abstaining from these foods, and understand what it really feels like before you decide if you're going to part with these foods forever or not. That is the answer to this very common question. My team and I make a huge effort to consistently put out high quality videos to help you on your way to health. If you're getting value from these, you can help us reach more people by liking, sharing, and commenting on this video. Thank you. So let's unpack that, okay? First of all, I totally get it. I really understand. It is very scary for people to think about giving up foods that they love, that are maybe a source of comfort. They're also a source of suffering if they're thinking about detoxing from them and going off them, obviously. But there's also a lot of very, they're delicious. And even from a social aspect, does that mean that I have to sort of, in a way, take a step back socially? Well, I can't partake in a lot of foods that are considered a social event, right? Like going for pizza or going for ice cream or things like that. It means that I really have to change things in my life on a very deep level, or kind of maybe be there, but not really be there, not really be involved and partake in it. So this is no small question. This is really a big question. But we also have to think about what's at stake. And we have to think about what happens. So I always say, I really do in my program, in the sugar-free recovery program, I make sure to teach at a very high level, what is food addiction? How is it that there are certain people who, when they want to eat something or they're even craving it, and they really feel like if they just have it, my brain will shut up, and it doesn't happen. It's just the opposite, right? It's like, eat it and I just want more, and it's more, and it's like this endless cycle of wanting and eating. And many, many times these are very intelligent, well-accomplished people who understand that they're eating in a way that's harmful for them, for their health, and it's not for them, and it's like they can't stop, right? It's as if the power of choice has been stolen from us to say no. And yet there's like this fantasy that maybe one day we will be able to eat in moderation and just to say no. Now, I'm not going to tell you that every single person who suffers from food addiction will never, ever be able to partake. But I can tell you that a lot of people, many people, who feel like they are addicted to sugar or ultra processed foods or have addictive eating behaviors, when they are in recovery, they understand that it is better for them and easier for them to abstain completely than trying to get in the rink again and again, when each time they got into the rink with these foods or food behaviors, they only lost. So many times abstaining from foods that cause craving, that just make us want more, that do not sort of close that yen or make that chatter in my brain turn off. I actually, from a conscious brain, understand that it'll just make it worse and worse and worse. And so maybe I'll stay in that position of where I have the power of choice, where I'm not eating those foods that cause me to crave it. Because craving means, like, sometimes people tell me, I didn't even want it and I ate it anyway. That's craving. Versus an urge, which would be like, I want it, but I can say no. So to tell you that I never look at that new ice cream flavor and I don't say, wow, that looks lovely and yummy and I wish I could have some. Of course I do. But because I don't eat that ice cream, I can say no. If I would eat it, I'm not sure I would be able to be there. And I don't want to take that chance because my recovery is so great. It feels so good to not have to eat it. It feels so good to be able to say no. It feels so good to feel clean in my body and not being constantly obsessed and also feeling bloated and yucky and ashamed of how I'm eating, and like into that whole like vicious circles of being hungry or not being hungry, just like wanting and then having and then, bumming out about it and then being ashamed about it and then eating it again and blah, blah, blah. And I feel so free not being there that it's worth it for me to pay that price of not eating ice cream when everybody goes to the ice cream parlor. And yeah, for the rest of my life. For me, that decision that I made for myself about deciding not to have it for the rest of my life was because I have a much better life without it. And I understand that I am endangering my recovery if I do eat it, because I tried in moderation, believe me, for many years and in many different ways. And it didn't help. It didn't work. And I really had to come to the conclusion, or I would say more like let go of that fantasy that one day I'll be able to eat sugar or ultra processed foods like a lady. And when I let go of that fantasy, I was able to come to that decision that I prefer me, Tsippy. I prefer not to have those foods. That for me, saying no and paying that price, whatever it is socially, or not having that delicious experience, it's worth it for me to give up on that because I gain so much more when I do that. And there's so much suffering at stake if I do have it. Having said that, this is a personal decision. It is something that people have to make for themselves. No other program, mentor, guru, dietitian, nurse, doctor can make that decision for you. But what I am telling you is make it an informed decision. Make it a decision that's not coming because right now you're craving that ice cream and you can't imagine not having it ever. Make that decision after you've gone through a detox. You have been able to abstain for a while, and then think about it. Think about it from a place of recovery. If you want to, or am deciding to, try moderation or not try moderation. Personally, I identify that the people who feel that moderation doesn't work for them. But really, at the end of the day, it is only your decision. And here's another really great thing that helps with that decision. And this is something that I've adopted as really a mantra for life, which I took from the 12-step program that I recovered through. And that is one day at a time. with this, let's say I'll have a participant in my program who will say like how great she feels, and her blood works better, and she lost weight, and she feels light, and she doesn't feel obsessed, and she feels that finally she feels that freedom that she was pining for, that she really wished for, that she doesn't feel like food is controlling her, but she controls her food and she decides what goes into her mouth, that it's something that she can have control over now. And what freedom it is, and wonderful. And then she says, but what? Even on my birthday, I won't be able to have cake. Like the thought of it is like absolutely. Or what'll I do? Like now it's August and I'm starting school in November. I'm going for a diploma in university. What am I going to do then when my schedule is so busy and I'm under such pressure and stress from studies, blah, blah, blah. And then this tool of one day at a time is so effective, because I think that if, for example, COVID, or certainly what's happening in my country, if it shows us anything, it's that we don't really know what's going to be. So let's do what we need to do just for today to be in recovery from our food addiction, to feel good about ourselves, to make the right decisions about food, to prevent relapse, to do all those actions that support and keep us in recovery from sugar and ultra-processed food addiction. Just for today. One day. Tomorrow will take care of tomorrow. My birthday's in January. I've already made that decision, but maybe somebody else making that decision right now is a really hard thing. I can get that, especially if they're at the beginning of their journey. But do you really have to decide what's going to happen on your birthday if your birthday is 6 months from now or even 2 weeks from now? So I say just for today, let's really do what we need to do for the next 24 hours, one step at a time. But it is possible. If you think that it's not possible, here I am going to tell you that from my 25 years of personal and professional experience, it is absolutely possible, one day at a time, to abstain and be in recovery from sugar and ultra-processed food addiction forever, for life. Yes, it is possible. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes work. It takes a commitment. It takes being consistent. It also takes being soft on ourselves and forgiving ourselves when we're not perfect, and not being brittle so that we didn't break anything. Maybe we bent a little and we can straighten up again. So it really, really takes seeing this as a life journey, as a life change. Not some diet or project or sugar detox that's going to happen and then be stuck on that idea that I can go back to doing what I was doing before that got me in trouble, just that this time I'll be able to do it with a little more control. So we really do have to see this as a life change, whether it is somebody who makes a decision in certain instances to eat certain foods that are not regularly on their food plan or not. What does it matter what that is? So, again, going back to that huge monumental question, does this mean if I join your program or I start abstaining from sugar and flour, does this mean that I will never ever be able to have it again? Is that what this means? The answer is only you can answer that question, but make sure it's an informed answer, and it comes from a place of recovery. That is critical to get the right answer for you. So if you are interested in my sugar-free recovery program, you can click the link below. And if you found this video inspiring, like it so more people can see it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or sign up to my Facebook page. See you in our next video.